It is a little. Feels like the air conditioner's on.
say I'm going to be live here momentarily.
I have it on my phone at that too. Yeah, I'll take it on 75.
Mr. Bauman, can you mute yourself?
I will do that.
Thank you.
Are we 9 o'clock yet? No.
It's Wednesday, April 15th, 2026, tax day, in case anybody forgot. I'm going to call the meeting to order and ask that you join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Adoption of current agenda. Is there any additions or corrections?
Mr. Chairman, I don't believe there is. I move to adopt the agenda as currently presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Public comment. Is there anyone in the room for public comment? If so, please come forward, state your name, and you have 3 minutes. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. I am Judge Sam. I've been before you before. I would like to introduce today Brittany Roski. She is our new juvenile court administrator. We're very excited to have her. She'll be joining Franklin County on Monday. I just wanted to give a brief update about where we're at on the transfer of juvenile court. As of today, we have 209 Franklin County youth and 239 cases that will be transferred to Franklin County Juvenile Court on June 1st. What our two priorities are for the coming week are two things. The judges sent an agreement to transfer detention back in March, and we need that before we will do any local rule adoption. So I'm going to ask that if you need me to send another copy of that, I certainly will, but that needs to be addressed far before June 1 to make everything go smoothly. So I'm going to ask that we focus on that. The second priority is space. So we had the opportunity in the past week to meet with Mr. Danzel, and that was great. We got to see the new space, which I think is going to be great. Clearly, it is unfinished, and so it's going to have to be updated and upgraded and stuff. So and it's not going to be done by June 1, unfortunately. So we're going to need some temporary space. So I'm going to ask if we could meet with someone. I don't know who that would be. I don't know if that's you, Mr. Danzel, in the next week, so we can brainstorm some ideas about some temporary space. Is that? I know you can't, maybe you can't address me, but if you can nod your head at me, okay, thank you. So we'll get in touch with you about some free time late this week or early next week to talk about brainstorming ideas for some temporary space for our 7 employees that will be coming over on June 1. Actually, it'll be 6 because Brittany will already be here. And the employee situation, as I understand, is moving smoothly. I understand that council and HR are meeting together and that things are progressing, so that it takes time. I get that, and so we'll hopefully have some more information about that next week. But so far, I think things are progressing very well. It's taking a lot of time. As always, it just is going to take a little bit more time than we anticipated, but we are moving forward. I will not be able to be here next week, so Brittany will be here next week to give you a little update about how things are progressing for next week. Just want to thank you for your time. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Today I would like to address the fact that over the weekend I was able to meet with 5 different moms and dads of this community that have disclosed to me that what these judges are doing to them and allowing these lawyers to do to these families have got them to the point where they have considered committing suicide. We really need to hold these judges accountable for what they are allowing attorneys to get away with. Disclosing conflicts of interest should be part of what they do every single day, and that's not happening. It is an embarrassment that we would push parents to the point of suicide and leave these children without a parent But then we have a juvenile justice center where we're going to take care of them, where taxpayers are treating these kids that have probably gone through family court and have been so harmed and so damaged that their pain is unbearable. I refuse to stand silent while this is happening to families, and I beg you to please hold these judges accountable for everything they are doing. I have a mom who's attending court this morning who has been harassed for months and months by an attorney, filing motion after motion, stressing her out. She even lost her job as a nurse. She went to school to become a nurse, and they found a way to continually call her employer until she got fired from her job. This shouldn't be happening. That's considered false reporting, and that's costing all of us. Every time someone makes a false report, that we are paying for all of that. People need to start being held accountable for false reporting, and they need to be in jail. They should not be false reporting and then getting custody of their children. We're done playing these games. I have a business. I'm not here to ask you guys to pay me with taxpayer money. I'm here because I care about these people and because I'm tired of sitting down and watching families go through this system that does nothing for our community but harm them. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
Yeah, Commissioners, Wes McCart, Director of Planning and Building, or Economic Development. I just want to make you aware and the public aware that we have created a flyer for some open houses that we are planning on holding. The first one will be April 23rd at the Pasco High School Library. Second one will be April 28th at Connell High School Cafeteria, and the third one will be Thursday, April 30th at the Markham Elementary School Library. We invite the public to attend. We have some flyers in the back for people that want to pick them up. I'd ask if you guys would please distribute flyers to anybody who might be interested. We've done a press release. Public participation is an important part of the update process. We want to hear from the people what they would like Franklin County to look like 20 years from now and the next 20 years to be successful in this effort. So I would encourage everybody to attend and just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you for the update on that.
Morning, Commissioners. I want to make you aware that the next Eastern Washington COG meeting will have a presentation on constitutional counties and the support for the suits against the unconstitutional bill for the sheriffs. And that is a growing movement. Definitely want you involved, and there will be probably some pre-meetings in early May, probably on a Saturday. So please keep some of your Saturdays in May open. We want you to be there and to hear all that's going on. Thank you.
Good morning again, Commissioners. My name is Marie Redout, concerned citizen. I do live in Richland. However, I do talk to the Benton County Commissioners as well. That there's very little input from them coming back for any connection with anybody that's been presenting information to them, unlike you. I know that no one's asking you to be the appellate court. We've mentioned that before. We're not looking for that. But if you saw somebody that had fallen overboard, didn't have a life jacket, and were screaming for help, you cannot just row your boat by. You can't do it. And if you could, I beg you to get a different job. Okay? You've got people here that are waving that flag to you, waving that white flag saying, I need help. Okay? Benton County seems to forget that they are financing this stuff against their people, against their community, against their constituents. You're financing it. You have an obligation. You can use those tools. You do have that authority to do some of that. You can't keep financing the harm that's happening. You're just rowing the boat by. It's not something that the people are going to accept or should accept. You can't hear the stories and not be gut-wrenched by it. I know it affects everybody, and I know it's easy to, you get 3 minutes here to just pop off with a couple things, and you can say, well, it's a bigger issue, and yeah, but we've got other projects we want to fund that's part of it. There's a way to get stuff dealt with. We can do that. It's real easy when somebody's not going by what a judge has already ordered in a parenting plan. It's easy to fix that. You start fining those who don't adhere to the parenting plan. Immediately, fine. Kids come back and get double time back with the other parent. It'll end it. Attorneys that are playing these games, there's ways to sanction them. They continually come after Mindy for sanctions because she's pro se. She's not understanding all the rules and everything, and they're trying to tell you have to file this and you have to file on time. And then you got this attorney emailing and ordering and directing, and in open court they want to know, why did this happen? What is your medical information? And you know what? If you don't disclose it, maybe you shouldn't see your kids at all. You're threatening to keep her away from her kids when she's already paying hundreds of dollars just to see her kids. And they're saying, well, if you don't disclose this personal information, so she did. And now there's something else. It's the way it's been all the way along, one thing after the other. I'm probably past my 3 minutes. I appreciate your time, and I'll speak again if there's more time. I do have a whole list of things I presented to you on email. I have a list of the rules that were broken. We can go over it any time, and I'm looking forward to that workshop. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Paris Windsor. I would like to talk about the family court system as well. Some rulings don't just change custody, they change a child's life forever. In my case, a 15-minute hearing resulted in my son being removed from my care without question or full understanding of the circumstances. That moment did not just affect me, it reshaped my child's whole world. The court made finding on coercive control based on circumstances that involved my decision to route communication through my ex, through my husband, for a temporary relocation for employment. During that time, we made multiple good faith efforts to establish a parenting plan outside of court, all of which were declined by my son's father, who instead chose to pursue litigation. When he later filed a domestic violence protection order, he alleged that I was withholding our child. I'm looking for clarification on how these actions meet the legal standard for coercive control under Washington law and how they constitute withholding, given the documentation to facilitate a parenting plan arrangement. Today, I do not just stand for myself, I stand for other parents and children impacted by the family court system, especially in cases where domestic violence protection orders are used as leverage in custody disputes. I want to be clear that protection orders are critical and they are necessary and they save lives. I stand with victims and survivors, including myself, and I fully support these purposes they have. But why are these same powerful legal tools being granted without clear findings of abuse or harm? When protection orders are used in situations there is no established pattern of violence, it risks doing two things. It harms the parents being accused, and it weakens the system meant to protect real victims. It shifts focus away from those in true danger and places children in the middle of legal strategies rather than prioritizing their well-being. There's a difference between fighting over your children and fighting for them. Everyone standing in here today is fighting for their children, their stability and their safety and their future. The same future that just so happens to be shaped by the decision made in these courtrooms. I respectfully ask to ensure that protection orders remain for what they were intended for. Thank you.
Good morning. My name's Deborah Windsor. I'm Paris's mother, and we did not coordinate our notes, just so you know, but there are some similarities. So I am here basically because my grandson was removed from Paris's arms, her caring arms, after 5 years due to unfair accusations. Thank all of you for listening to our concerns, your unwavering support, and allowing us to speak on behalf of our youngest American citizens. the little people who can't speak for themselves yet, but one day they will. Our community will hear from them, but the burning question is it going to be a positive outcry? Only time will tell. I ask you, commissioners, how can Attorney Dow request that a judge ruling over my daughter's case be removed, then replaced by Commissioner Whitmire? Is it simply because Commissioner Whitmire always gives Attorney Dow everything he asks for? I don't know. Hopefully the answer will come in the future. That's what I'm hearing. I'm trying to understand all of this. I'm not very familiar with court proceedings. I'm learning as I go. Why did Attorney Dow withdraw from the case mere minutes after the biofather received full custody, and then send my daughter the biofather's address in case she wanted to file against him? How can one 15-minute court session determine a decision for the life of a child without verification of how the biofather has parented in the past? No questions asked of the biofather, such as how many times have you attempted to see your child within the past year? How much support have you provided for your child, and was it adequate? What about the year before? Quality time that he spent with his son? And many other questions that should have been asked before custody was just given. Why is this happening in the family court system? I want to know. I want to understand it. My daughter refused to be manipulated any longer by biofather and asked biofather to speak to her fiance and make a parenting plan. Placing a restraining order on her against her very own child is unacceptable. How can coercion control be considered a domestic violence charge when the mother has never shown any kind of aggression, battering, verbal or physical abuse or neglect? She is a God-fearing woman, and she taught her son to pray and tried to protect herself and her son from manipulation and gaslighting. She just didn't have an attorney at the time when she went to court. She thought the evidence on hand would prove to the courts that she was the person that would be the best caregiver for her child. It's not that she or anyone in our family didn't want to give parenting rights to the biofather, but for him to get full custody and restraining orders to be placed against her is an outrage. My heart bleeds for my grandson. Please use proper protocol and proper investigation when deciding under false pretenses. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
Hello, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I'm Kata Spinda, and I'm a child advocate and a mortgage fraud whistleblower. And I'm here today to stand in the gap for these parents who have been harmed in the system. I have been working as a child advocate for 5 years, started in 2021. Clint Didier, you spoke at the health board meeting that I spoke at when I was speaking against the vaccines, and you spoke up and you said you aren't doing the vaccines either, your family and the masks. So we have tyranny going on inside these courtrooms. I have a whole list of judges that I just emailed to Sean Santz on Monday asking for an answer on these judges and on 2 cases I want to bring up to you today. One case is for Mitchell Snow. Mitchell Snow, his son, is being in the custody of a pedophile. Lene Snow, his ex-wife, is a pedophile, and I'm going to say that right here. I have the evidence in my possession. So I emailed Sean Santz about Mitch Snow's, what's going on with that investigation since she broke into his home on March 3rd with Mounts Locks, who can verify this information. Secondly, I emailed Sean Santz about Amanda Bobbitt. She was her home was, her gate was battered into by the Pasco police. Her and her boyfriend were arrested, and during the 2 hours they were in jail, both of their exes went into their home, stole from her $4,000 in cash, a motorcycle, 3 laptops. It's all in the police reports. They stole it, but there's no investigation. And they've taken her children because she has money. So people who have money, they go after the parent that it has the money and who is pro se. They look at the parents as dead. These judges, they wear black robes for a reason, okay? So when somebody comes in pro se, they don't have the mouthpiece of a lawyer, a liar, a squire, okay? That's what they are. And they are harming children. I will not stand for this. And I know that you guys have given a second public comment for these parents. I can't tell you how amazing that really was for you guys to be able to do that. Benton County commissioners, shameful. Absolutely shameful. And this juvenile court for $2.5 million, that money should go to the children that have been harmed in the system, not another court. My God, they are the ones that are ruining these children. I ask you, I have a card. I don't know who to give it to, but I'd like to give it to somebody after I speak. I'll give it to you. And we need men to stand up. I wrote a song, Rodeo Cowboys versus Rodeo Clowns. You guys are the cowboys. Benton County's the clowns. But I would like to see you guys move forward. I know you don't have a lot of, you're not judge, but we can make a difference together, and I'm willing to work with you guys, so thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
Brought notes this week. I'm Andy Revis. I spoke last week. First off, I want to, Commissioner Bauman mentioned last week the 250th anniversary of our great nation. And it's still a great nation, and it's going to get great, stay great. But I don't know if any of you are aware, but May 17th on the National Mall in Washington, D.C., there is an event to rededicate this nation back to God. On May 16th, the team I work with will be on the National Mall in worship, and then on the 17th, we will be there also for that event where President Trump is supposed to dedicate this nation back to God. So that, I appreciated Commissioner Bauman bringing that up, and I think it is commendable to do something for the 250th anniversary. Now, to the point of the family court, the focus on this has been the judges and court commissioners and attorneys that are all paid by our tax dollars. And it's been brought up a couple times. Our tax dollars are being wasted on a kangaroo court that is not operating under the under law. And you know, you keep talking about going higher up, going to the legislators, going to this. February 7 of 2023, I mailed out a 100-page document, certified mail to 30-plus people, including all 3 Franklin County commissioners, all 3 Benton County commissioners, both Franklin County Sheriff and Benton County Sheriff. I mailed it to every member of the DCYF Legislative Committee. I got 0 meaningful responses. Nobody took the time to look. This paper was written for me by a former CPS worker that has seen the corruption, and she laid out line by line at that point it was 3 years of corruption in my case. Nobody took the time to share. So I thank you guys now for listening, at least acting like you're paying attention to what these people are talking about. Mr. Didier, last week you said that you knew what I had been through, but you didn't know how far-reaching it was. Now you do. More people are standing up. I just read something this morning where, and somebody said last week about being scared to speak up because of the retaliation, and I can attest that that happens. These judges, these attorneys, they retaliate on people that speak up against them. I was supposed to take a psych eval. I hired a private psychologist to do a psych eval. He emailed me that the social worker had dissuaded him from doing the psych eval because they could not get their collateral to him. The guy that done the psych eval, I will finish later.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I don't know where that certified mail went to. I have not received any certified mail. Oh, 3 years ago?
2023, okay.
Okay.
I don't.
Yeah, neither.
Is there any more public comment?
Pardon me?
Is there any more public comment?
Is there any more public comment? Please come forward. You have 3 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Melissa Good, and I am a part of this community. I am here today because this is the first opportunity that I have to make the public aware of what is going on in our schools that have to do with the judicial system. I am hoping to create some accountability through transparency about multiple things that I have been a part of. I'm not here because of family court. I'm here because of the things that have happened to and with my daughter in this community and how it's been handled in the court and by the school district. My daughter was a victim of grooming by her teacher. I was called at home by another teacher out of his concern for what he was overhearing, and he stated to me, all too often these things are going on and everybody knows, but nobody will do or say anything about it, so I'm calling you today. A phone call from a teacher who knows the character of my daughter, an AB student, a kid that's never in any trouble at home or at school, has no history whatsoever of any behavioral issues or anything of the sort, a responsible kid that makes her own damn car payment. That kind of a kid. The kind of kid who's currently enrolled at WSU in her second year to become a kindergarten teacher because she cares and she loves kids and they love her and she's an honest and good person like her parents. Where do you go from here? Like Aristotle said, the sum of the parts is not the same as the whole, correct? So, it is my intention to continue coming back and giving you 3-minute blurbs repeatedly. Every Wednesday that I am not assisting a mother to have her baby, I will be here. And I will continue to tell you the parts of these stories so you can get a big picture of what's going on in our community that is corrupt, it's unjust, it's protecting a man who grooms kids. It's protecting a teacher who has full access to kids in high school, whom is also subscribed to watching, what do you think? TikTok videos of juveniles, girls, 15-year-old girls who are sexualizing themselves, have footage of themselves with a teddy bear behind them and in lingerie. It is disgusting. Disgusting, and the school knows about this. This man moved my daughter from her assigned seating from the back to the front, right next to his desk. How convenient. He asked her, who are your parents? What do they do? Where do they live? Where do you live? Are your parents divorced or married? Oh, they're divorced. Why did they divorce? Who do you live with? Getting all the deets for the grooming, right? I will be back. You will hear the rest. This is one of 3 cases having to do with the school district. It will blow your mind.
Anyone else for public comment?
Fortunately, I don't have the sad stories that these wonderful ladies have, but I had a friend who made national news when she went to Matt Shea, who was a lawmaker at the time, to protect her Second Amendment rights. The next thing she knew, CPS was at her door and took her children away from her first marriage and her current marriage. And she fought for 2 years during COVID to get them back. The boys she was never able to get back from her first marriage. She got the heck out of here and went to Wisconsin just to save her daughters and her marriage. And they came, finally she found one of her sons who was living on the street because her husband was a recorded pedophile and had raped his sister. And this is what's going on. And unfortunately, it's not so much just here, it's throughout the state, and it's because of the laws that are of the state. I really recommend that you all contact candidates who are running for legislature and really understand who they are, because there are some that are running with courage. Unfortunately, we have this one party really that is about climate change, and they don't care about families. In fact, breaking up families and giving power to the government is their ideal. And that is what we are seeing. We are seeing the fruits of that. And so I really compel them to find people and endorse them and really hear them, let them hear them, because they will go there and they will fight. They have a courage. They don't care about money. They don't care about the system. They are fighting the system, and that's truthfully my recommendation, because unfortunately our commissioners don't have any authority over the courts. They have very minimum amount of authority on ordinances that they can do in the county. They are, many of them are appointed by the governor, and then they run for re-election, and unfortunately there's this gentleman's agreement amongst our law makers that are in the, or our judges and prosecutors that are in the government, not to run against each other. And so many times they run unopposed. Not always, but sometimes. And they are bound by the laws, and you're right. If you've got an attorney, you're gonna win, especially against someone who doesn't, unfortunately, because they know the court systems, they know the language, and they know the system, and they know how to use it. So my heart aches for all of you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Is there anyone on the phone?
Mr. Dean.
Yeah, Mr. Downsell.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to everybody that's testified. A couple things that I'd like to point out. Number one, I've been talking with the prosecuting attorney's office, who wants to do a workshop on family law probably within the next couple weeks. It was my understanding that Commissioner Bauman was not going to be able to participate maybe at all today, and I know that it means a great deal for him to be here and to listen and to understand your issues. I did want to piggyback on something that was said just a moment ago, which is that, and I don't know, this is just a kind of a historical perspective, county commissioners were originally called county road commissioners. So they were charged with literally taking the taxes that are levied against your property for the purpose of building and maintaining roads and doing that, making sure that the roads got built. And as time went on and the state kind of saw counties less as a sovereign county and more as a political subdivision, more and more administrative things got added onto the plate of a county commissioner. But one thing that I think we got to be careful on is that the Board of County Commissioners, as was stated, has very limited ability to do anything when it comes to judges. It's a separation of powers issue. And so then the next thing, just so that we get this, I want to answer this preemptively, is, well, then the power of the purse strings. Everybody will say, you've got the power of the purse strings. And that's true to a degree. There are statutory amounts that are required for the courts to be able to operate that counties and municipalities, we don't win on those when we try to fight those. Not that the fight's not worth having certain times, and we, through the budget process, have differences of agreement. But what I would recommend is that when we do have this workshop, that we have open minds on that end too. Because we can listen, and we will sit here and listen, and we value every word that's being said. But I just, for your own sake and for the sake of being able to get through the agenda, and I appreciate the idea of, and maybe myself at a former age and time and place, idea of just coming to any forum that you can be listened to and just continually saying the same thing. I don't know that you're going to get the return on investment for your time. So what I would rather do is have and work in partnership in tandem with folks that actually do know family law, that could put you in touch with resources, that could kind of maybe help streamline where there are holes and where there are gaps. And I know that I've talked with Council Briggs about that. I know that like I said, Commissioner Bauman wasn't going to be here physically today. And so that would be my recommendation, is to hold that with the idea and the understanding and openness like we've had on our side to hear you out, because it's harrowing what we're hearing, that you'll be able to hear from us on our side and take it that there are just limitations on things that we can do. And that the Board of Commissioners, while I think that it affects most of them personally, and I don't want to speak for them, there really is just a certain amount of things that are able to do. And Jeff, or Councilor Briggs, I don't know if you want to touch on that, but it's just there really is not a lot that can be done to, like, the commissioners don't oversee the judges.
And that was kind of why I wanted to do a workshop, or it suggested it, because, and actually I was talking to Commissioner Didier about that too, and what we can do to engage more, because when people come up with really significant life issues, we don't just want to sit here and listen to it. We actually want to engage with them and you know, try to offer some guidance if we have any. And it's difficult in the public comment forum. And so we were thinking that maybe a workshop would allow us to be more interactive. But I would echo Brian's comments and Ms. Hatch's comments as well, that it's very difficult for the Board of County Commissioners to take any action against the judicial branch. It's a separate co-equal branch of government. And, you know, the board does have the power of the purse strings, but I don't think that the founders really intended it to be used in that manner. It raises separation of power issues, quite frankly, you know, to use it in a manner that you're trying to, through that power, sort of dictate what the judicial branch would be doing on its end. There are ways to regulate both lawyers and judges. There's the Council on Judicial Conduct. There's the State Bar Association, and that's for judges. The State Bar Association for attorneys, and they take those complaints against judges and lawyers seriously. So that's one mechanism. But I think we should have the workshop just to talk about these issues, because I don't want the public to feel like they're falling on deaf ears. And as Brian mentioned, there are you know, resources out there. One that comes to mind for folks that can't afford an attorney, and I don't know, it's been a while since I did family law. I practiced family law for a few years, and at that time, Gonzaga Law School was organized this thing called the Moderate Means Program, where they would connect folks with attorneys that would work on a sliding fee scale. And I know this because I actually worked in the Moderate Means Program when I started doing family law, and would help people that frankly couldn't afford an attorney in any other way. And so we would you know, assist them through that legal process, because I think a lot of the stumbling blocks that folks that don't have attorneys run into are the procedural ones. It's you didn't file a declaration, or you did file a declaration, but it has inadmissible evidence in it, or evidence that the court otherwise can't consider, because the court needs very specific, and I'm not giving legal advice to anyone, so I wouldn't take this as legal advice, but the court needs very specific things. They need, you know, dates, times, what happened, where it happened, the who, what, when, where, why, types of questions for it to really be admissible. And they need to know how you know that information. If you're just putting things in a declaration that says this person's abusive, this person's this and that may not even be enough. And you may feel in your heart that you've made a good case, but that's where the benefit of having a competent attorney can come into play, is that they can help you sort of take those you know, arguments and put that in a format that the court is going to consider. And I'm not saying that anyone's failed in their efforts. I have no clue about any of your cases. I haven't done family. When I did family law, I was Commissioner Schneider, and you know, that was a very long time ago when he was running that docket. And I'm sure things have changed since then. I do know the judges that work on that docket have a lot on their plates. I was amazed, frankly, Commissioner Schneider, we'd be on a docket with 55 cases, and I don't know how he
Mr. Chairman?
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Bauman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is out of order. We're going to do a workshop on this topic, and I would like to see us do a workshop on this topic at another time, not today. Thank you.
Mr. Briggs, continue.
Okay, I mean, that's fine if we don't, I was just trying to give him some guidance, Commissioner, but, yeah, we can move on to other matters today.
All right. Approval of consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve consent agenda items 1 through 10 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Regular business, Resolution 2026-132, MOA to establish changes to the county administrator's employment agreement after his annual review. Presented by Brian Dansel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and this maybe in the future would be presented by legal counsel, but at the previous meeting, the Board of Commissioners approved giving the delegation of authority to the chairman to negotiate with me on my employment agreement. The boundaries of such MOA were that we were going to reduce the amount of payout, and if there was a severance, by half, going from 2 years to 1. The rate of pay was going to go to $210,000, and then $1,000 a month stipend for vehicle allowance or the use of a county rig. And so that was what we had discussed and got to the prosecuting attorney's office as well as human resources. My understanding is it's ready to be acted upon if the terms are acceptable to the Board of County Commissioners. And that's all I've got to say on the matter.
All right. Brian, on behalf of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners, I am proud to present this evaluation marking your first full year of service. Since your 6-month review, you have not missed a beat. Most importantly, you have continued to faithfully and aggressively carry out the wishes of this board, ensuring that our policy direction is translated into direct action. Under your watch, we have successfully continued to work on reining in the power of bureaucrats. You have kept the administrative machinery lean and responsive, resulting in a government that is more accountable to the voters than ever before. Your presence has solidified a culture where the taxpayer is the priority, not the bureaucracy. Year 1 milestone achievements. The board remains firm in its stance that your output over the last 12 months outweighs what most administrators produce in an entire career. You have tackled impossible hurdles with a level of grit that defines Franklin County. Key achievements during this inaugural year include institutionalizing accountability. Since your last review, you have refined the reporting structures of the county, ensuring that the board's vision is never diluted by red tape. Independent corrections success. Following the flawless stand-up of the Independent Department of Corrections, you have managed its first full year of operation with high standards of safety and fiscal efficiency. Fiscal stewardship. You have moved beyond just creating policies to actively enforcing a culture of thrift. Your identification of cost-saving measures has kept our budget disciplined and our tax burden low. Strategic execution. You didn't just write the county's first strategic plan, you have spent the last 6 months executing it, hitting milestones that provide a clear return on investment for our residents. Executive performance, strategic leadership and vision, we rate you excellent. Fiscal management, budgetary oversight, excellent. Operational efficiency and cost savings, excellent. Department of Accountability and Governance, Excellent. Intergovernmental relations and communication, excellent. Consistency in executing board policy, excellent. Thank you, and great job. Brian, the steady hand you provide is exactly what Franklin County needed to move into a new era of transparency and efficiency. Your leadership is an invaluable asset to this board and the public, and frankly, this county is incredibly lucky to have you leading the way. Thank you on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners, Franklin County.
Thank you, sir. That's very touching. And I'll be back next week.
Thank you. So with that, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move for the resolution 2026-132.
Second with discussion.
I have a motion and a second with discussion. The chair recognizes Commissioner Baumann.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think I can summarize my comments by saying that I am extremely appreciative to Mr. Danzel for not trying to act as a fourth commissioner, but to do what the board asked him to do. So, Mr. Danzel, thank you. Thank you for your service to Franklin County and specifically to the Board of County Commissioners and for your hard work. I've talked to you at all hours of the night. When you had a question for me or I had a question for you, I appreciate your availability. I appreciate your hard work and your dedication to Franklin County. And I think maybe in a month or two that we should have a workshop and talk about our strategic plan in a little bit more granular detail and ask for your assistance and advice on looking forward to a few things. A couple of those things that I think that we need to think about is an administration building for Franklin County, a public works facility, building and planning facilities. All of those are coming up as a needed thing, and with your guidance, I think that could be on the near horizon. So, Mr. Danzel, thank you for your service.
Thank you, Commissioner Baumann. That means a great deal to me. And it's an honor to have those late night phone calls and early morning phone calls. So thank you, sir. And we will definitely get to work on the items that you had listed there.
I would just like to chime in here and say my accolades go to the people who are talking to me in the community, and they are impressed. And when the people we represent are impressed, that's all it takes for me, is the people to tell us we've got the right man at the helm. So I just say congratulations and keep up the fine work.
I couldn't talk you gentlemen into an encore, could I? No, I feel a little bit embarrassed here. Thank you very much. First of all, I would say that nobody's able to do it without just the most amazing team, and that's what the fact is here. When I got here, it was an amazing group of people that I think that were just waiting to have their talent unlocked. I can't sit here without thanking Miss Teresa Alvarez. She has just been my right hand and sometimes my left hand and sometimes my brain all in one at the same time. I got to thank both Council Briggs and Council Lloyd for putting up with me, but also having some conversations that I know that we'd come at it from different perspectives, but I think we'd become better county because of it. And I just want to say thank you to all the people in Franklin County that have made me feel so welcome this first year. Now let's go get results in the second.
There we go.
All right. Thank you, Brian. Great job. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor of Resolution 2026-132 signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Resolution 2026-150, approval for the creation of a second therapeutic court case manager position presented by Judge Trinity Orozco. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, we recently learned that the Veterans Court contract for therapeutic court services in Benton County was terminated. And because of that, we started trying to plan how we were going to solve that problem to make sure that the veterans don't fall through the cracks. We have researched the different needs for a Veterans Court program, and we've begun to implement those. But prior to doing so, we do need a new case manager position and somebody who's going to have a veterans emphasis. We met with the Veterans Center, and they've indicated that they are able to provide the mentor services, which is kind of the different part from therapeutic court to veterans court, is they have veterans that come in and kind of support them through the way. They're not somebody who reports directly to the court or tattles, for lack of a better word, but there's somebody when a veteran is struggling, they can reach out and say, I need help, and then they provide that assistance. And that's kind of the key component that we needed to make sure we were able to solidify before we came back before you today. We are in a position right now where we do need that case manager with the emphasis on the veterans track. They would be working directly with the Veterans Center, and we have a few names of individuals that we've worked with there, and specifically Steve Leto said that he would help provide that mentorship coordinator program. We do have additional needs to support participants in our program. However, I'm not certain that the board wants me to go through all of the statistics and needs that we have. If you do, I can definitely do so. I have them actually all written down here so I didn't forget anything. But we are in dire need of a second full-time case manager position with that emphasis on veteran services. And I believe that that will allow us to serve the needs of our community and to continue to allow our program to grow. This position is fully grant or state funded. They've provided us an additional $36,000 to make it through this year, and we're already getting going on creating that new application to support our needs for next year.
Questions, commissioners? Commissioner Baumann?
No questions. I move for approval of Resolution 2026-150 as presented.
I second.
We have a motion and a second on Resolution 2026-150. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Commissioner Administrator updates. Mr. Danzel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Much of my time was dedicated to the juvenile services, as was talked about earlier. I met with Judge Stam, Tiffany Rung, and Ms. Roski. Had a very productive session discussing their upcoming office space needs. I would chime in and second what Ms. Roski had to say earlier today, which is that we're not going to probably be able to get the area that you all had kind of indicated you might like to see them finished in time of June 1. So what I would recommend is some other space that I have, and am I good to go ahead and just utilize other space throughout the county where we wouldn't have just an exorbitant cost right now?
Yes,
Is
as
that,
far as I'm
do I
concerned.
need to
Do you
get
have the
that in form of
consensus?
a consensus or a motion? Probably a motion later added.
Right. Yeah, that'd be good. Once we have more specific details, of course, the board could always delegate general authority to our county administrator to go and figure out what the exact amount is going to be, and then come back. However, because we're talking about modifications potentially to the building, it raises public bidding concerns, and that would necessarily entail consideration of what the actual price of what we're talking about and the nature of the modification.
And if you guys want to fully, the other part too is if it's just, we're biting off more than we can chew. I'll tell you what facilities told me was in the range of $500,000. And I'm guessing you're not going to want to spend $500,000 to upgrade right now. So I think the idea would be to at least get these folks settled into an office that would work fine. I think the one that sticks out to me is the old coroner's office here locally. And then as we grow and as we're able to maybe get some of that grant funding rolling in, that we utilize some of that possibly and potentially for future modifications and / or if we're able to figure out a way through, like one of the funders at the USDA event that we had here, where maybe we qualify for a program where we don't have to pay back a loan, or it's a 0% interest, or in Commissioner Bauman's requests of things that we'd be working on. There are a lot of avenues to go towards going after an admin building or public works building, but there's also avenues for funding this. And so I'd like to maybe look at that with Kirk Pearson at USDA Rural Development, see if there's some pots of funding that we could utilize. Sat down with Council Briggs, Council Lloyd, Director Isom, and our broker to discuss some issues. In terms of internal operations, held a regular department head staff meeting for alignment purposes. Regarding the Veteran Service Officer, I've reached out to both Mr. Dare and Mr. Penny to outline our current plan for that position and for veterans moving forward. I know that both gentlemen have some suggested changes that they'll be getting back to us, and I put them both in touch with Director Isom to ensure our recruitment and coordination efforts are seamless. On a final and very positive note, I'm excited to announce that Mr. Edgar Vega has accepted the role of Project Manager for Human Services. You'll remember Edgar was instrumental in our preparation for juvenile services, and I couldn't be happier to see him transition his talents to this new role where he'll be doing the same type of work, just now it'll be for human services. And so we're going to invite Mr. Vega to that meeting. We have a meeting today scheduled at 1:30 with Mr. Dare and Director Isom that I'm going to ask Mr. Vega to be present at too, but wanted to give you an update on that. That's my update for this week, and just please let me know if you have any questions regarding these updates, or if you want me, like Commissioner Bauman was saying, working on some other issues as we move forward. Thank you, gentlemen.
So on the juvenile location, that's for 7 employees?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Commissioner Bauman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make my comments brief. Thank you, Mr. Danzel, for talking to Mr. Dare and Mr. Penny in preparation for the VSO position, and congratulations to Mr. Vega on that new position with Franklin County. So my report for this last week is just after our commissioners meeting last week, I attended the graduation inside of the Franklin County Corrections Center along with Chief Harmon and Captain Jansky on a group of the individuals there in our corrections center that graduated from phase 1 of one of the programs that we have there. And just one of the things I expressed to them is this is a tool that they now have in their toolbox that is only valuable if they use it. And so congratulations, and use those tools well to all those that graduated. This last week had a Benton Franklin Transit, a special meeting that was at 4:30 last Thursday, and the purpose of that special meeting was for the board to evaluate a report and an investigation that happened on now former CEO of Ben Franklin Transit, Mr. Thomas Drost. And following that executive session in that special meeting, the board unanimously voted to terminate without a severance Mr. Drost's contract with Ben Franklin Transit. And then in the second vote, there was also a unanimous vote to extend indefinitely the interim position to Brian Lubansky. And so felt like that was a good move on behalf of Ben Franklin Transit in the direction that organization needed to go, as that vote demonstrated that the board had lost confidence in Mrs. Drost's leadership in Ben Franklin Transit. And so with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll leave that as my report.
Thank you. Commissioner Didier.
Yes, last week consisted of the Columbia Basin Sustainable Water Coalition meeting. As Mr. Bauman said, the Ben Franklin special board meeting, and then the Ben Franklin Transit special board meeting, and then the regular board meeting. And coming away from the meeting pretty disheartened with the comments being made that all this negative talk about there's nobody on the buses. Last 2 days I've been traveling around Pasco and Kennewick, and every place where I see a bus go by, I'm just being very attentive. The most I've seen on a bus is 3 people, and these are 30 passenger plus buses. Again, I think we can really downsize Ben Franklin Transit, be more effective in movement of people, and I think we could probably, but with that is the caveat that we don't get this federal money. Do we need it? I don't think so. We're getting $60 million a year off the 0.6% that the people are being taxed on everything they purchase. 0.6%. And I think we can move everybody around in Franklin County for $3 million. Well, that's $18 million that we're paying right now in this tax. And we've got to trim government. And Ben Franklin Transit, honestly, is part of government. And I'm really disenfranchised with them. I don't want to be on the board anymore. I am not. I'm being outvoted. I'm the only standing person that's calling anything into question, and I really don't want to be on the board anymore. US 395 had several phone calls. Oh, one last thing about Ben Franklin Transit. After the meeting, the next day I get a call from a fellow patriot that's very upset with 65E was the bus number going by Griggs, and it was going at such a high rate of speed he almost got ran over going across the road. Highway 395 lowered the speed limit to 65. This solves nothing. All this is going to solve is people getting tickets. You know, that's all they did was lower it 5 miles an hour on 395. That's going to solve nothing for people. When you got people coming to your area that are unfamiliar with your area, you got to give them a simple red light for stop and green light to go. Traffic lights is the way to go on 395, just like they use up at Moses Lake, just like they use in Idaho, just like I said they use up on Vancouver Island. When you got a red light, you stop. When you got a green light, you can go, and there will be no more collisions. There's no more collisions up there around Moses Lake. For them to lower its 5 mile an hour, honestly, that's a nothing burger. And you people here, oh, one last shout out here to Megan Mathis, deputy sheriff that solved the wire theft problem. This girl worked relentlessly, was staying up, falling asleep at her computer. She solved the guys out stealing the wire off of the pivots out in Franklin County. I want to give a big shout out to Megan Mathis for her hard work and doing a job well done, solving that problem. We've got people now that are being held accountable, and we still got problems. My neighbor had another calf stolen. They branded their calves, and another one got stolen. They're stealing these calves from their mothers. Right now, I'm treating a cow with a bag problem, and what's the name of it?
Mastitis.
Mastitis, and it's terrible. But this one has a calf on it. But when you take that calf, that's what that cow will get, and it'll ruin the cow. You're talking about multiple thousands of dollars of value here now with this beef price with the way they are. So we need to solve this theft of these animals too. But the last thing I want to talk about is I traveled to Idaho on Saturday, and I gave a speech over there because they want to know how Franklin County is getting everything we're getting done in Franklin County. And I said it's because the people, when something needs to be spoke about, they come to the meetings, and I thank you for coming to the meetings. Don't think that your voices aren't being heard. I've got people coming up to me in the community going, what's going on with this family court? And I said, I don't know. I said, but they're bringing awareness to it, aren't they? And I encourage you, keep the pressure on. That's how you solve things. It's we the people. This is our country. This is our government. It's your voices. And when you rally the troops like you're doing, when I wanted something done early in the day when I first got elected, I'd call everybody I knew and get them in here and fill these seats up. And it works. Numbers work. And I applaud you because we want accountability in our court system. We don't want this heartache for people. And I tell you, it is pretty emotional because I love my kids, but they're all in their 40s. Now I got grandkids. And for one of them to be taken away from their parents unjustly and not being able to, it would just tear my heart in two. And I applaud you for bringing this up. And I talked to Congressman of Idaho in the 1st District over there, Russ Fulcher, and I told him they need to look at this U.S. Title 14, subsection 1984. This removed any penalty for judges not following the Constitution of a $10,000 fine and a year in prison. You make judges accountable for adhering to the Constitution. They took it away, the Biden administration, when they were in. And he's looking into it. And I'm going to also get a hold of our congressman up north. And I'm going to tell him, you guys got to get a consolidated effort back there. Get this reimposed. Judges have to be accountable too. They're not God. They're human beings. As we see, every human being can fall from grace. It's those who stay true to the Lord God Jesus Christ. And that's what we all got to strive to do. And the last thing I want to end with is when George Washington sent Benjamin Lincoln this correspondence, and I'll just brief it out here. I hope there is good sense and virtue enough left to recover the right path. We need to become a virtuous society again, and we're not there. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. And just to comment on Commissioner Didier's comments, after watching the transit for the last 10 years, I never see more than 3 people on any of the buses, with the exception of going to the fair and possibly sometimes hauling students to school. With the amount of money that they have available to them, we could provide a better service. And maybe it's something that's Uber credits. I'm just saying there's other solutions that would provide a lot better service for our community and at a much lower cost. It came up about 10 years ago when they were contemplating the idea of self-driving buses. And I remember Commissioner Didier asking them what they would do with the drivers. He says, well, they would then ride the bus as customer service agents. Now they've gone as far as hiring security on the buses. Our local law enforcements have exceptional response times to incidents that happens at transit. And I know this because my son at one time was a safety manager there. And the response times to any incidences on the transit were exceptional by our local law enforcement. Like I said earlier, either with Uber credits or just different ideas that were brought forward, we could provide a better service at a much more efficient cost for our citizens. And as far as the theft, I do want to reach out and congratulate the Sheriff's Department for catching the individual responsible for the copper theft. I'm sure there's more out there, and also the cattle theft. With beef prices as high as they are, baby calves are three-day-old calves are selling for $2,000. That were $300 a couple of years ago. So if you see suspicious activity such as spotlighting during the night, because they feel that that's what's happening, is they're spotlighting these cattle and stealing the calves out of the field, I would report that to the sheriff's office, just as a precaution, because we definitely need to catch who's stealing these calves and endangering the well-being and the families of the ranchers that are out there and providing beef for our community. Had numerous meetings with Mr. Danzel last week. Different concerns and things are coming on as far as the agenda, and Also had the Tri-City Regional Chamber of Commerce meeting this morning. I just want to make a couple announcements. May 27th is they're holding a Washington Workplace Summit. That's May 27th at 8:30 to 1:30 at Three Rivers Convention. If you have questions or concerns about that, please contact the Tri-City Regional Chamber. Also, the Tri-City Regional Chamber of Commerce is holding a legislative session wrap-up membership luncheon Wednesday, April 22nd with legislators from our state. So, and then again, I just want to bring up Wes's comment on the Franklin County Comprehensive Plan, in case you missed it earlier in the meeting. We do need to get community involved. I want to hear what the public has to say and how they do want to see Franklin County grow and how. So those dates again are April 23rd, April 28th, and April 30th. So thank you, and that concludes my report for this week. Mr. Danzel, is there any correspondence?
Oh, yes, there is, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. In your binder, you will see some correspondence as we spoke about Wes McCart from Director McCart. He's included a memo regarding the comp plan and the act signed into law in 2023 that requires counties that are fully planning under the Growth Management Act to create a climate element for the comprehensive plan. While I think we all agree this continues to be onerous and in some cases not possible, a good example is that right now, part of the memo touches on whether or not we should submit our plan to the Department of Commerce, because if we do that, the Department of Commerce would then be charged with the duty of defending us if it got taken to the GMA hearings board or court. But they're asking, in exchange for that, we have to agree to reduce emissions, now I'm not making this up, by 95% by the year 2050. And my question there is always, and this is since I've ever gotten involved in local government, then what? What happens to the poor souls in 2050 when we haven't been able to have 95% reduction in emissions? And kind of the reason, of course, that we're not going to ever be able to achieve that in that amount of time is that we're in an agricultural community, an ag county, and agriculture is still the driver of the economy here, whether that's believed or accepted or not. And unless or until all of our farmers are willing to trade in their tractors and combines and equipment and big rigs and pickup trucks for bicycles and solar panels and so on and so forth, we are not ever going to make the 2050 deadline. And so it's just something to keep in mind. Wes, I appreciated the memo on it. I worry about things like this, and I want to just be upfront with you because I believe I'd be giving you bad advice by saying, yeah, we'll make the 95% reduction. It's like almost 100% reduction, which is, yeah, it's pretty tough. So I want you to know about that. In addition to Wes's memo, and this was brought up a little bit earlier today, and Chairman Mullen, this was at your request, and then Commissioner Didier also at times has asked what we're going to do on this, and Commissioner Bauman, you too have asked about this. This is a formal support letter for the legal challenge against Senate Bill 5974, which is the bill that was discussed that intrudes on the voter sovereignty. And so I've got a copy of that I'm going to send down your way if you wanted to sign that. I didn't know if you wanted me to read it or if you wanted me to just send it down or how you wanted me to handle that.
I would read it.
Read it?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think the public needs to know what we're stating here on that Senate bill. So
Okay.
please read it.
Okay, very good. Okay, it's to Governor Ferguson, and Governor Ferguson and the Washington State Legislature, the Franklin County Board of Commissioners writes today to formally declare its unwavering support for the 4 northeastern Washington counties, Spokane, Ponderay, Stevens, and Ferry, currently challenging the constitutionality of Senate Bill 5974. As local representatives of the citizens of Franklin County, we view this legislation as a direct infringement upon the democratic process and the sovereignty of our local electorate. The office of county sheriff is a constitutionally established role that is and must remain directly accountable to the people who reside within that county. The Franklin County Board of Commissioners strongly advocates for the following principles: voter sovereignty. We support the fundamental right of individuals to elect their sheriff. The choice of local law enforcement leadership should rest solely with the voters of each county, free from interference or gatekeeping by the state government. Opposition to unelected oversight. Senate Bill 5974 shifts the authority over the office of the sheriff away from local voters and vests it in the Criminal Justice Training Commission. We believe that empowering bureaucratic agencies to override the will of the voters and declare an office vacant is a dangerous precedent. And constitutional integrity. The new requirements and the administrative certification regime established by 5974 create barriers to entry that favor state mandated standards over community-specific needs. We believe this law bypasses the established constitutional recall process, which we believe is the only legitimate method for voters to remove an elected official from office. We stand in solidarity with our colleagues in Eastern Washington in their pursuit of a judicial review to strike down this law. It is our firm belief that the state government should not have the authority to nullify the choice of the people.
Thank
I want
you.
to pass that your way.
Well written.
Thank you. In addition to our outgoing correspondence, we have a fair bit of incoming that came in lately, and also that came when I was happened to be incredibly ill. But this next piece of correspondence is from the South Columbia Basin Irrigation District, and it's that questionnaire that you had wanted them to put together for potential board members and candidates. And here, I'll just pass the whole stack down. Just something for you to review, maybe get back to me if you have any recommended changes to that. It's pretty straightforward. When I had my conversation, and I got to thank those ladies for their patience, when I had my conversation, the idea was that I had mentioned that the Board of County Commissioners want to make sure, the way I understand your feelings about things, that whoever is appointed to the board will advocate for agriculture and understand the footprint that agriculture plays in Franklin County's economy. And so I just wanted to make sure that you knew that the conversations I had were really very specific towards that. If there's anything else you'd like to add, I will be happy to get anything back to them. So we got that. We've got an update from IS, and this has to do with the questions that were generated on compliance. So I'm going to take this and send that down. Looks like we're going to be on our end compliant. Where there's going to be trouble is with some of the vendors and some of the forms that we use online. But kind of a note here, and you'll see this in the document that Mr. Beckley provided for us. Does the Department of Justice expect us to be 100% compliant by the deadline? And the answer to that is no, they do not. They expect that we make demonstrable progress, that we have a defensible plan, that we have ongoing governance over the issue, and that we try to just mitigate anything that we possibly can, and active remediation. So wanted you gentlemen to have that information. And I also instructed Mr. Beckley that even though the Department of Justice doesn't have to have us be 100% compliant, I would like to be. I would like to be ahead of the game in the future. And so what it has been, I think, has been a teachable moment for the county in general, that we need to be looking out for these. And we need our risk pool, by the way, to be tipping us off when there's changes like this, because I do worry about our exposure to liability for the county when it comes to, if we're not completely in compliance, I still think that there's an issue there. But in the realm of transparency, we, the county, our side of things, I think are going to be complete by the April 24th deadline. The outlying issue is going to be the vendors that we use in forms that aren't created internally. So just wanted to pass that information along with you. We got a incoming piece of correspondence, and Commissioner Didier, I think this is where we're going to have our shot at being able to have a little bit of more of a say here. Is it okay if I read from Senator Torres and Senator Torres staff over the issue that you had talked about when it comes to crash prevention zones?
Yes.
May I do that? Okay. So this is from Senator Torres. She said, pardon me, I don't think she coughed, actually. She said, Dear Franklin County officials, thank you for your partnership during the past session in getting Senate Bill 6066 passed. Your support was essential in addressing real safety concerns along US 395, and I'm truly grateful for the role that you played in helping move this important effort forward. The bill was signed into law on March 20th and takes effect June 11th. At that time, the responsibility to move ahead with designated a crash prevention zone will fall to local jurisdictions, meaning the city of Pasco and Franklin County will take the lead. While WSDOT has the authority to designate zones, the bill was designed to ensure that the decision-making for this bill anyway stays at the local level. Implementation will be key. I encourage you to work closely with your legal counsel and transportation teams. I'll be looking to reach out to Mr. Erdman so that everything is in place by June 11th. Resolving any remaining questions ahead of time will help ensure a smooth rollout. So I wanted to get you out. This came across this morning.
So does that mean that we then have to incur the cost of putting up the lights, or is that going to be able to come from the feds and the state, since that's a state and federal highway?
It was a state appropriation, and so originally it was interesting. I talked to our contract lobbyist on it, Mr. DePinto, and originally you'll remember, and actually Commissioner Mullen and I had a discussion on this too, where WSDOT had sent originally a letter back to the county saying that if we wanted to make any kind of suggestions for improvements on 395, that even though it's a federal and state highway, that we would have to apply for grants and perform the work ourselves. And so it was just nonsensical. The way that this bill that Senator Torres was kind enough to run, and that our contract lobbyist was able to shepherd across both houses, made it possible so that we're going to have more of a local say. So I think that's the time to interject. And I'm obviously the conduit for that. So I'll be working with you gentlemen to, but I mean, it's not real hard. It's Vineyard, and what's the other one?
Foster Wells.
Yeah, Foster Wells, and some of the other ones.
Crestlock, yep.
All the roads. Yes, Crestlock is another one. And so I wanted to get you aware of that. That was from Senator Torres. I have two pieces of correspondence from Mr. Ziegler. One discusses his work and what he's been attempting to do with the local bench and try to control costs. And then the other is it's a two-part correspondence. It's from Mr. Ziegler to the Board of County Commissioners regarding Molly Garcia's service, and she's up for a step increase. And then finally, and this might be the best government document I've seen in a while, but we've got parchment paper. It's Larry's 41st anniversary of his 39th birthday. So I told him, happy anniversary of your 39th birthday. And this was the actual parchment paper that was, made in the hospital from Larry when Larry was born. And so, no, I'm just joking, but in it, it's It's full of great non sequiturs. It's full of great, you know, I don't want to read them all, but, you know, here a couple, and this is accurate, by the way. Whereas Larry arrives at the office at approximately 3:00 a.m., a time most people consider unreasonable, unnecessary, and avoidable. And whereas Larry completes a full day's work and leaves by 10 a.m., a schedule that should not work but somehow does. And whereas Larry maintains a strict daily routine by going to sleep at approximately 5 or 6 p.m., successfully avoiding nearly all evening responsibilities, events, and Anyway, you get the idea here. And so that's for you gentlemen to sign, and so that we can present to Mr. Ziegler, who I'm sure will be thrilled with you all. But no, it was all in good fun. And then finally, I would be remiss if I didn't say, I had mentioned the great work of Ms. Alvarez, Council Briggs, Council Lloyd. I need to also recognize Director Isom for the good work she's done, and Jen Herrera in our office for always putting together not just help with this and all the packets, but going above and beyond, and really wanting to follow in the footsteps of another employee of ours, and that's Gray Blair. And Gray was able to pass their bar exam, and so it looks like that all intents and purposes is that they're going to be moving up to the prosecuting attorney's office, and we're going to have to go out to ad for a public records officer. So congratulations to Gray, a thank you to Edgar, and then I just had to mention this, and I know that Commissioner Bauman will appreciate this too. In your description, Commissioner Mullen, there's no way in God's earth that we would have been able to do anything on the jail right if it wasn't for Keelan Harmon, Chief Harmon. So I want to say thank you, sir. I know that we're going to have you here for a workshop to discuss these matters, but it has been seamless and so smooth, and I think one of the biggest reasons is because of both Chief Keelan Harmon and Captain Jeremy Jansky. That's the correspondence that we have today. I know it's been a lot going down that direction, and I will quit talking, but if you have anything that you'd like me to do on it as it pertains to correspondence, again, just like my update, please just let me know. Thank you.
I just want to say happy birthday to Mr. Ziegler. The county is very fortunate to have him, and appreciate all of his hard work and dedication to public service.
Yes, absolutely. And I would say I went in and played the Beatles' Happy Birthday song, and he actually knew what it was. And that was nice.
All right. Thank you, Mr.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. The chair recognizes Commissioner Bauman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of thoughts. Happy birthday to Mr. Ziegler. I will try to stop in and offer him his third cup of coffee at 6 a.m. as soon as I can. And a couple of other thoughts on the correspondence that we received. I think that letter to the governor was excellently written, and would ask that we certainly send that as soon as we can. A request that I would have along with that is that we send that to the other counties, and along with that letter that that we sent to the governor, ask them to consider doing something likewise. To the Highway 395 speed limit lowering, just wanted to publicly express my frustration and disappointment that the Washington State Department of Transportation did not correspond or give notice to us in any way, as far as I'm aware, that they intended to lower that speed limit in relationship to Highway 395. My frustration is similar to Commissioner Didier's that he expressed. It's not our highway. It's not a Franklin County road. It's a state and federal highway, and in the absence of anything being done about it, we have begun to raise the concern to a higher and higher volume, and for them to go out and do something and not even give us the courtesy of notice is frustrating and disappointing, and I wanted to express that publicly. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on to public comment. Is there anyone in the room for public comment? If so, please come forward, state your name, and you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
My name is Marcy Torres, and as I was addressing earlier, you know that we do have a problem with false reporting, and no one's being held accountable. Today I want to read to you a police report. A lot of the times these police reports are made by people. A lot of attorneys are advising their clients to make a bunch of police reports so that they can then frame one of the parties as non-compliant and as someone that is just hard to work with. Even though they may have had years of co-parenting, and this is a strategy that they use. It says, spoke with reporting party, said that several times mother has had unidentified third party drop off the child per child for child visitation. This person was directed by mother to do so. Reporting party advised that there were in protracted custody case, directed them to contact attorney. Reporting party said that if the situation occurred again, that he would record license plate and report his child as being kidnapped. Advised reporting party that it would constitute to false reporting and advised him not to do so unless the child was in physical danger, provided this information to the reporting party. This is important because this is actually a report that was made on my case from the other party. He continually, after I have asked the courts for many times to allow me to do exchanges in front of the police department, and they denied those exchanges, then he started making all these false reports, and he's never been held accountable. His wife now has done the same thing to her ex-husband. So it's just a cycle that if people are not being held accountable, they just keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. So I want to make you guys aware that this is happening. By law, this is a crime. It could be a misdemeanor, depending on how many times it has been done. It could account to a felony. But who's going to hold them accountable if they just keep doing this? And he has no other proof that I've ever been an unfit parent other than this made up stories that he has been instructed by Mason Pickett to continue and do in order to paint me as a bad person, bad mom. I have done my best to co-parent with him, even though he's so difficult to deal with, for 15 years. And the judges have denied many times for safety reasons for me to do exchanges in front of a police department. And this is not okay. The first time he requested a protection order, he got it granted. And it was only because they were trying to protect him from me collecting the money he owed me for the wages of when I worked for him. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room for public comment?
Hello, commissioners. This just keeps happening. She's talked to 300 families that this has gone through. What she just said just happened to Amanda Bobbitt and Ivan Barisic about a month and a half ago. And they live next door to each other. Their exes found out who each other was, and then they made false reports to get the police out there to break down her gate, arrest them, only for the exes to go into her home and steal. The police department has been notified. Sant has been notified of a formal complaint. He won't take the complaint from Amanda Bobbitt unless she hires an attorney. This is what they're talking about. So when people go in to present themselves pro se because they can't afford an attorney, they lose every time. And it's because the judges look at these people as dead. They don't hear them at all. That's why the attorneys always win. This is a serious injustice against our mothers and fathers. I can't imagine a mother who has birthed a baby from her own body, that can, by what authority does a judge have? They don't have it. The Constitution is very misunderstood. People think we have constitutional rights. We don't. We have God-given rights protected by the Constitution. The judges are not following the Constitution, period. They don't have the authority under the Constitution to kidnap a child, to sign a court order, to steal a child from their mother or father. Mitch Snow, same thing, 3 years, he's not seen his son. Why? What in the world is the reason that he can't see his son? It's because he has a woman, Lene Snow, a scientist at Hanford, or she was, who has connections. And there's a 764 network that judges are getting incentivized by, and children are getting harmed. This is, I'm just so shocked that this room isn't just full of people. With a Christian, with all the Christians here, you would think the first thing they do is all be standing in here packing this house. This is satanic. What they're doing to our children is evil, and it must be met head on. I'm standing here, and I'm not afraid of these people. They're evil. And I'm going to continue to do this until I see judges in cuffs. And until I see judges in cuffs, like, it's great that there's going to be a workshop. That's not enough. I'm just going to let you know. A workshop is not enough. There are judges that need to be stopped from doing what they're doing. They need to be brought out of here. And we are going to work towards getting the military out here to pick these people up if they don't stop doing this to parents. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room for public comment?
Just to address, my recommendation too is maybe to look for grants for parents that can't afford attorneys. I just know how the courts work. I had to go to court once, and we hired an attorney, even though I had all my facts and everything, because we don't understand the filing system and all the rules and when this has to be filed and what can be in and what can be out. You know that there's an old saying that, if you want a person who represents themselves is a fool, because it's just the emotion and everything. It just doesn't work. But I would really like to see to create some sort of a grant system for parents that can't afford an attorney, and a system that provides attorneys for them, something to that effect. And that's my best recommendation. I just wanted to stand, though, mostly and talk about this climate change nonsense. If you go to the Library of Congress, it's ncbi.nlm.nih.gov. That's where all scientific studies are peer-reviewed, in the process of being peer-reviewed, where all of that is recorded. And there is absolutely no peer-reviewed study claiming carbons cause climate change. Zero. There is not even an attempt for a peer-reviewed study. That tells you everything you need to know. And yet, we are creating public policy on something that is not scientific proven. That means it's a belief. That means it is a religion. And we are basing public policy that is ridiculous, that is harming people and their ability to live free, because it is all nonsense, and it is just a huge way to funnel money to friends and companies that launder, I believe, and do all sorts of things that are harmful to our people and our government. So this is the same place that I learned about how needle shares came about, and it's the same website. It's not really a website. It's I guess it is, but where I was able to learn that there was no study. There was a study that proved that chloroquine cured all COVID and SARS-type viruses when given early. So this is actually part of our government. So everything in there is either recorded as has been proven, it's in the process, or scientific articles, different things, and to that effect. So when I hear this carbons trying to stop it, I mean, are we just supposed to stop breathing? Because it's not ever going to get there. This is just a way for government to control the people. It's just another way. So that's my feeling. I feel like there needs to be a lawsuit of some sort to go to court and make them prove that carbons cause climate change. So.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room for public comment?
Since I'm here, I'm going to continue on. Again, my name is Melissa Good, and I'm a member of this community. I'm going to pivot. I'm going to bring up another case involving my daughter. She is the minor, one of the minors that was assaulted randomly by that man at the Kennewick Target out of nowhere. The man who came in and decided to first bump into her while she was looking at swimsuits with her friend, and then came back around and sort of bumped into her and grabbed her butt. This same man assaulted an 8-year-old girl the same exact way in Target. Her mother was there at first. Her mother didn't quite believe it. Like, she said, that man just touched my butt. She's like, what? She kind of moved down. He bent down, pretended to be looking at something, did it again. An 8-year-old girl, randomly. And according to police records, he was following minors around Target randomly for an hour. An hour, just deciding, who do I pick? I'm shocked he chose someone that had a mother standing next to them. I wouldn't. That's a dangerous thing to do. They were able to identify him from not just footage of this at the Target, but he was also dumb enough to go and make a purchase with his credit card. Plus, they have footage of his red Mustang as well. Him coming into the parking lot, coming in, doing everything he did, loitering around the swimsuit area, the lingerie area, etc. in Target. This happened in 2022. 2022. This man had his weapons removed, if he had any, that was an order, because he was believed to be dangerous by the court. According to the documents that I ordered a couple days ago on this case, this man's home address is within less than a mile of 4 schools. What's going on? Why hasn't he actually stood trial yet? It's continuance after continuance after continuance. The whole entire thing is frivolous continuances. Now, we have digital evidence. We have the statements of the mother of the 8-year-old and my daughter. There's a police record. What's going on? Why is this being pushed out 4 freaking years? What does this communicate to my daughter about justice, about accountability? She went through the school thing, then she goes through this. What is going on?
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
I do think it is a day of courage when the people in the community start to gather and find their way to the resolve. And I congratulate and encourage you to keep trying and keep going where they're helping you go. And to your account on the climate change debacle, there's also carbon credits that have been negotiated by Washington State with Canada. And constitutionally, that can only be done from our federal government to another federal government. With regard to the letter of support on the suit against the bill 5974, I would also encourage and really give consideration to join that suit. We did lots of letters on the Snake River dams. We did a lot of letters. Should have been very convincing. It was not. It just, they dismiss them. This is a time of courage for all of us, and the wings on a First Amendment petition and a constitutional county committee are what support county commissioners to do such things, protected by both the Washington State and U.S. Constitution. It's your First Amendment right to petition. That's what we're working on. That's what we're rolling out. We do one with the sheriffs. We can continue on down the line with the invasion in our state, with carbon credits that are unconstitutional. And I will have to say, if we want our state back, we have to do more. So I'm going to skip ahead with regard to 395, Commissioner Didier and Commissioners. I remind you from the federal partners, Amanda Rogers, on the Transportation Policy Analyst for Routes Initiative. I think combining some of the needs for the turnouts in our county, Highway 17, 395, and then Kevin Burgess, I get a hold of him because his county has multiple issues with state highways and traffic issues. So if we could bundle that all into one big effective program, I would truly recommend making those connections and making those applications. The other program that I highly recommend, at least a workshop on, a group out of Oregon called Grant Pilot. 76,000 federal grant programs will be searching all night long the minute you put it in, 135,000 foundational ones and 1,000 state grant programs. And that would include some of those opportunity grants that we just had Judge Orozco come in and talk to us about with the courts, the treaty, the therapeutic courts, and then for veterans to go back around the opportunity grants you write yourself. Somebody's waiting out there to defer their taxes and put into the community for 5 to 10 years. And you write a grant for a veteran to come out of therapeutic court, get involved in farming, have support for buying his operational overhead, and I encourage you to follow that through. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room for public comment? Is there anybody on the phone?
I'm gonna finish a little bit. I understand that this is not a judicial court and you don't have as much power, but this is a platform. I talked to Representative Tom Dent for hours until he let me know that his attorney told him to stop talking to me. I have filed complaints with the state ombudsman, which is supposed to oversee CPS, every time they said, oh, we didn't do anything wrong. I filed complaints with the State Bar Association. I filed, and again, they're watching out for each other. And like you mentioned, Council Briggs, there's sometimes 50, 60 cases of family court. Usually I would see, 15 or to 20 when I was there. But criminal court, it's sometimes 50 to 60. How can these judges do a good job giving life-altering decisions for our children? And as I said it last week, our children are the ones that suffer. The next generation is what suffers. And I see it. It was mentioned last week too. It's a cycle. Then we ask for more taxpayer money to fund programs. Both of my kids that were taken ended up in criminal court multiple times, and because they were so frustrated with the situation that they were put into, that they was acting out, and they were in they had criminal charges against both of them multiple times, and my son was. There was a report made that he was having a sexual encounters with an underage female, and their response to that was to move him to another home with another underage female. This is a continual cycle, and then we ask for more money to our taxpayers fund the attorneys, our taxpayers fund these programs to help these troubled kids. Well, maybe let's not trouble the kids to make these programs make it necessary. And our daughter messaged a family member and said, "Is it true that they paid $50,000 for me? Because that's what my attorney told me, that they paid $50,000 for me." And the attorney that our taxpayer money is funding was telling this child that she was bought for $50,000 to turn her against us. These, and I get people are frustrated. You guys are whatever, the road commissioners maybe, but it's a platform, it's a place, and you guys can help us to get the word out there. And be, like Commissioner Didier said, I have a 1-year-old granddaughter now, and it just tears me up to think how many people have had kids ripped from them. I made a statement in 2021 when I was speaking in Meridian, Idaho at a case. I said, God forbid I never see my children again, but I will not stop fighting for these people that cannot, that are going through the same thing I've been through. I spent 6 years in family court, and I'm not going to stop fighting.
Yeah. Anyone else in the room for public comment? Thank you.
Coming up again on understanding everything that you've said, everything that I do understand about what your roles are and everything, I can just say that you got to think outside the box. Commissioner McMullen, your comments about, if you see something out there and there's spotlighting, call the police, call the sheriffs, call the deputies, have them come on out there. You make that phone call and they say, sorry, that's a civil matter. Or sorry, we don't believe that there's anything going on. If it, whatever it is, you're not getting a police response. That happens a lot. You have the cases where they're talking about, it's hard for officers, and I have been one, so I'm speaking from my own knowledge. I don't want to sort through domestic issues alongside the road as a police officer. I get that. But I also am not going to turn my back on somebody that's telling me something. I'll do my diligence. I'll do my report. Your Megan that your accolades are for, well done for her. More officers need to be like that, and deputies. I can tell you that if you got these guys in positions that are just being lazy asses and not caring about the community, that's the type of stuff you're going to get. Sorry, it's civil. Not interested in that, or a half-baked report. Okay, stuff that's not happening just at that basic level. You're going to need to think outside of the box. You've already asked for a letter to go, and you're encouraging the Benton County guys to get off their lazy butts and get something done. Add to this. Join us. Let's make some comments. Let's just show that we're supporting this. But it mattered to you to do that, so you sent the letter over. This has got to matter to you. Like the first things I told you the very first time I spoke with you, this stuff needs to matter to you. There are things that can be done. Think outside of the box. Don't tell me that this is the way we've always done it. That's like a red flag for me. People that tell me, I'm sorry, we can't help you, it's civil. I've never told somebody that as a police officer. I've never told them I couldn't help them. I told them what my limits were, like you've done, understood completely, but then I also stepped up like you've done. And I said, let me help you with what I can do. I can read to you what the Commission on Judicial Conduct says 6 weeks out. We've already done that. Bar, they're not responding, right? We've made those complaints. Let's talk about Northwest Justice Project. We don't have anybody to help you. You need an attorney, but we don't have anybody that's going to help you. We just don't have it. What is that? And then we do recommend that you just don't say anything because they will retaliate and you'll be in jail. Quote, you'll be in jail. Okay? So why do you think this isn't packed? They're threatened with jail time. They're threatened. Right now, you had Judge Peterson telling Mindy that she's not going to be able to see her kids because, we don't know why she was terminated. Maybe she, in open court, maybe she abused her coworkers. Maybe she harassed them. Maybe you just don't need to see your kids anymore. We want the information we want. It's wrong. You know it's wrong, and there's a lot that can be done. Think outside of the box, and we're here to help with any of it, and so are the legislators. They're meeting with us. We'll do it together.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment? Hearing, seeing none. Is there a need for executive session today?
There's a need for closed session that I have.
It's executive though, right? Or close? Okay, so for 10? Okay, so executive session under 4230, 110, 1I, litigation for 10 minutes with myself, Ms. Lloyd, County Administrator, Clerk of the Board, our 3 commissioners, and Ms. Isom as well, our HR Director.
All right, so at this point, we'll go into executive session for 10 minutes. Time is 10:54. We'll be back at 4 minutes after 11. Thank you. With no decisions being made, we're going to go back into executive session under the same RCW code for approximately 5 minutes.
I don't know whose that is.
Oh, that Teresa's one?
I got all this deal here that you read so nicely, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time on that.
I know you did. It might be over there, too.
Open that, so. Boy.
Just so I can get to it.
Isn't, that's not it?
No, this is from an earlier version. We'll find it, no worries.
We've come out of executive session with no decisions being made. Is there any other business for the good of the county? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Workshop is in. Do we need to take a break? Okay. I will call the workshop to order. Approval of workshop agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve workshop agenda.
Okay.
Item, Corrections Department update, presented by Mr. Harmon. Captain Harmon. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I made a motion. Is there a second? To approve the agenda?
I'll second it. I have a motion and a second on the board on approval of workshop agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Is there any nays? Hearing none, the motion passes.
He's not with us.
Corrections update, department update, presented by Keelan Harmon, Franklin County Corrections Center. Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
afternoon. Close to it anyways.
Yeah,
Thank you for
it
being
is.
here.
It is. So, we're coming up on a year, April 23rd, and I thought I would come and talk to you a little bit about the affairs of the jail. And one of the things that, you know, as the split happened, is, you know, with any split, especially with the jail, there's going to be a lot of moving pieces, a lot of time invested, and one of the things that was taken away from us was the accreditation that we had during 25, in February of 25. And there's 50 jails in the state of Washington, and there was only, at that point in time, I believe 6 jails that were accredited through WASPIC, and we were one of them. And so by taking that away from us, you know, it is a daunting task to go back through that process, and it takes time. Some jails 2 years. Some jails don't even get the process going and fail and never even try to do it again because of just the standards that the state has set forth on jails. And so when the jail split, that was one of the things that I knew we needed to do was to go for it. And as of February of this year, we are accredited, and in May we'll go ahead and get our plaque and we'll, you know, and basically put our plaque on Facebook and hang it on the wall to say that we did it in less than a year. And that's an accomplishment of my team, and I'm so proud of them because it is hard. It's very hard to do. And so with that, I think we will be at 8 jails that are accredited in the state of Washington out of 50. And that's a big accomplishment. I thank my team for all the hard work that they did and pulling it together. And we passed with 100%, not 90, not 80, and have to go before a board and explain why we're at 96% and not 100, but 100%, which is awesome. You know. Yeah. So, and the other thing, accomplishment that I like to say is, you know, I've been before the board talking about people leaving. We've had a huge turnover in the jail, and I can recall we were 22 positions down at one time, and only 3 people on the list for hire.
But not under your watch.
But not under my watch.
No, this is previous, Jim.
Previous to it.
Yeah, yes.
And those are, you're just burning through overtime, and people are burning out, and no one wants to come to work because they know when they look at the schedule, wow, there's only 3 people on the list, and they're having to mando everybody. And so since the split, we are only down 2, and everybody's staying. And actually, our last class that we sent to Academy, we're actually everybody's certified. And I did have one officer come in yesterday and say he did not want to leave Franklin County Corrections. He would want to stay, but he lives an hour away in Mattawa, and he's being offered a police job with Mattawa. And he said, I love it here and what's going on, and I would love to stay. And I told him, you always got to better yourself. And if the police job is what you want, then move forward. But with that, talking about the people that are on the list, before we would have maybe 6 or 8 people on a list during the sheriff's office. We have, as of last week, 63 people that have put their name in the hat to work in corrections, which is unheard of.
That's awesome.
And we haven't even touched the civil service list. And we're going to hire 3 people, and we already have 2 that we're looking at right now, and the third one that came in, we'll hire for that too. So it's been awesome to see the amount of people that have put their name in, not only just for corrections positions, but clerical or to help out with part-time work. It's been awesome to see. And then I'll move on to something that we implemented back in December, was looking at adding tablets to the jail. It's one of those things that, idle minds is the devil's destruction. And when you don't give offenders something to do, they will destroy things. That's just the nature of it. They have to do something. And reading a book that is missing 6 pages is not going to cut it. And since the sheriff didn't allow electronics or TVs or things like that, that was one of my things that we would set forth and go out and find what's the best way of handling tablets. And we implemented those in December, and it is awesome to see our use of force go down by half. And in fact, most offenders, they just want to have their tablet and watch movies and listen to music, but there are educational programs on that tablet as well. Anger management is one of the things that I said they'd have to have on the tablet through CTEL. AA, NA is on there. Our chaplain's doing a redirection program, which you heard about Commissioner Bauman being involved in. That's a great program. We graduated 10 people. And it's the first class on the redirection, and it actually gives the offenders something to look forward to, because it's easy to warehouse people and bring them in and push them out the door. But what are we doing, for them to help them out when they go out that door? That's the toughest piece. And those guys, they put in the work, and it's not easy. I've read all 3 books, and they're doing a wonderful job. So phase 1, they've completed, and we're starting another phase 1, but those that are on phase 1 are going to phase 2. And I shook everyone's hand, and the smiles on their faces was enough for me. And I believe in the recidivism, that if we help them, we give them the tools, they won't come back to jail. They won't commit crimes. And if you could just say one, that's important to me. And then one of the other things we started to look at, along with with what we're doing, is our volunteers. And I can't believe the amount of volunteers that want to come help in the jail. You know, between Teen Challenge, I know we have more chaplains than any other jail in the state. We have 6, you know, and the amount of correspondence that the offenders are you know, speaking up about their issues and problems, and it's been awesome to see. The other thing we did was on March 1st, I'd been working on the Healthcare Authority program for about a year and a half, and it's hard. There's a lot of jails that are still struggling through the Healthcare Authority program, and we went live March 1st, and we have all the tablets set up so that we can enroll our offenders in Medicaid, Medicare, so that when they do go out the door, they have something with them that they can go seek treatment that keeps their medication going, because we do have to provide them with 30 days medication, so that they aren't sitting in the park somewhere self-medicating, and they have their medication with them going out the door. That's been a tremendous help on Medicaid, Medicare for services, and recoup some of that money. And so that's been awesome as well. And lastly, I know that there's been talk about how much revenue that we would bring in with the tablets. And as of 1 month of actually February, our commission is $10,055, which has been pretty good. So that's an average monthly that offenders are spending on using the tablets, on programs, and listening to music to calm them down. It works, you know. And the other part too, I shouldn't say lastly, but is with us changing vendors with Summit Foods going to Airmark, we've opened up the eye care package twice a week, so loved ones can order hot dogs and hamburgers and things for their offenders twice a week, and that's been a hit. The offenders love that. We were only doing it once a week, and Airmark said we could do it two times a week, and that's been great. So, questions?
So you were able to get everybody certified with their gun training?
So the certification on the firearms training, we will have that in next month, I believe, in May. And actually, we've had police agencies reach out to us and actually offer their range, and so we are slated to get our certification with the firearms, which, yeah, it's great that other agencies stepped up and said, hey, you want to come use ours? So
That's other agencies outside of Franklin County.
Correct.
Because you were not allowed to use Franklin County's gun range.
Exactly. Where there's a will, there's a way.
You would think that there would be a way that we could work together and use our own resources.
Yes.
But, from what I heard, there were threats against officers from the jail going out to use the gun range.
There were threats made that any corrections officer that was found on the range would be arrested.
And confiscated weapons.
Yes.
Yeah, from our own county.
Yes.
Well, thank you for finding other resources that we can use rather than getting into a nonsensical argument with our own resources.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, there's been a few, you know, I would say like training has been, it hasn't been a hurdle, but it was one of those things that, you know, the sheriff had pulled all of our trainers. They were all on the road, and all of our training was based off of road deputies going to training and then training corrections. And so when the split happened, we had no trainers, zero. We had no firearms instructors, no DT instructors, no SISM instructor. I mean, everything. We didn't have anything.
And no range.
Yeah, right? And it was nice to see that risk pool stepped in and came and talked to me. I think it was probably the third week of the split, and said, we're going to move you guys to number one. We see that Franklin County is at the bottom of the list for training for corrections, and we're going to move you up to the number one position. And so they have stepped in and helped with the funding of trainers, and I mean, that piece has been awesome to see. And we now have 2 firearms instructors, I believe 4 taser instructors, a DT instructors, emergency response instructor. We've had people step up and be, we call them CTOs, but they're FTOs, field training officers. They've gone to those schools, and the list just keeps going, you know, and that's been awesome to see that that people for corrections are actually stepping in and say, hey, I want to do this. Can I go to this class? And Risk Pool has been paying the bill. So that's been nice.
How many lawsuits have we had in the last year?
0.
Previous 3 years?
I believe 4.
Yeah. And no deaths so far this year?
No deaths.
And in previous years?
You knock on some wood.
Right.
No death. And previous years 2.
Have you had any issues with damage to the tablets?
No. We had when we had one tablet that a guy dropped. That's been it. And so we have 250 tablets, and only one has been broken. Wow. He says he dropped it. You know,
accidents do happen.
Right.
So out of 250, that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it
only
is.
have one incident. And just the fact that you have a waiting list of candidates, almost 70 that want to go to work for you says a lot.
It
and
does.
The fact that people want to stay and work there is very commendable to you and Jansky. So,
yeah, it's been awesome to see. You know, one of the things that that I did was like, it's the buy-in part of it. Like, how do you get people to buy into it? And you know, excuse my French, but we all have to eat this shit sandwich. How do we do it? You know, it's not just you guys, but it's all of us here. And one of the things that Jansky and I implemented was allow the officers to design the badge. They designed the colors of our uniforms, the patch they designed. They did it all. And to watch them scurry about and talk about it and things like that, that was pretty awesome to see. And then to see the uniform now, we look pretty cool. I have to say.
You do look good.
We look pretty cool. You know.
Right. Commissioner Didier, do you have any?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. The guns that were taken when the jail changed hands, have they been returned?
There's some outstanding guns that have not been returned.
Still haven't been returned, even
No.
though we got a judgment from a court?
That is correct.
We talked about lawsuits and we talked about deaths. How many lockdowns or situations have we had in the jail as far as using physical force in the last year?
Oh, yeah. The last year we had, I can give you that number. Here, look at it. So in previous years, we had our, fights or use of force. They were close to averaging about 62 a year.
62 a year?
Yeah. Okay. This year, or last year, we only did 23.
23. What this is a sign of is that you're treating people like human beings.
Right.
You're getting a positive return on that investment. And I just got to applaud you for sticking it out, being here for us in Franklin County, and making this a more manageable jail than we've ever seen before. I just got to applaud you and thank you for everything that you're doing, Captain.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Dansel.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioner Didier. I'd feel remiss if I didn't say that, as you can tell, just by listening to this gentleman talk, there is literally no micromanagement. It's more of a relationship of, hey, Chief, you tell me when you need to talk about something. But there is such a competency and such a buy-in and such a good attitude that's going on over there. And I don't know if Commissioner Bauman's still on the line or not, but I know that he could speak to this too. It's been overwhelming, the amount of chief and not Jansky, but just rank and file folks that have gotten a hold of me to let me know that the best decision that has ever been made has been making that man the chief of the jail. So I would be remiss if I didn't say that, and just also brag on Captain Jansky that both individuals are incredibly easy to work with, and I don't think we've had one crossword, and it's the smoothest I've ever experienced. So thank you, and way to go. I love how you think outside the box.
I'm humbled. I am. Yeah, I do have one thing to say about the juvenile part of what's going on. When the split is happening between juvenile justice and putting them underneath corrections, we've been ahead of it. My team's been ahead, and so I had a talk with Judge Stam about she had questions like, were we ready to go June 1st? Like, I need to know something, what's happening. And I explained everything to her on what we've done on our side. And we're still waiting on a contract with, I reached out to Nori Gregoire, who's the department head for juvenile justice in Walla Walla. And we'll do a contract with him to handle the issues of trials, so that we're not sending them 2 hours back to Spokane. We can just have our officers move them to Walla Walla and back and forth. Makes it easier on the defense counsel and things like that. But we are ready to go June 1st. Our policies and procedures are in place. We have it to where our live scan, which is our fingerprint machine, is on Wi-Fi now, and so that we can bring it over to the other side, so the juvenile offender's not in ear or eyesight of adults, because that's one of the rules that we have to do. So we're prepared, we're ready to go, and there's just a few little things that we have to clear up, and by June 1st, we'll be ready. So.
Excellent.
Well, on behalf of the board, I think we all concur that you have done an outstanding job you and Captain Jansky, and we appreciate it. And I hope that maybe this shines a little bit more light on why we had to take the jail back. So thank you. There was something else I had, but I can't remember what it was. But it happens. So with the tablets, they just rent those from you, or do they watch programs and get more time, or how does that work?
So everyone is allowed a tablet. The charging stations are in the units, and they're not each tablet is not dedicated to one person. There's a sign-on. So if you go to the charging station and there's 6 tablets there, you can grab any one of them, pull it out, and then sign in and do what you need to do. Now, the one thing that we haven't, we did turn it on, was video visitation. So we've always done video visitation through Visitel, and that's been through cell phones for the family on the out, through the kiosk machine, and there's only one kiosk machine for, it could be 22 people in there. And so we didn't turn that function on yet because I wanted to make sure that there's some security measures in place, especially when it comes to nudity and whether they access to, if there's a case going on that involves children, that there's a way to block those things out. And then the company assured me that they have processes in place, and we did turn that on, which is extra revenue for us, the county. And so that started last month. And it's been very quiet. I have to go around looking around going, what's going on? Is this a jail? What's happening here? Because it's been, everybody's just so quiet and they're into their, speaking to their loved ones and things. I can give you a figure that this is they have a thing called chirping, and it's basically just texting. And for the last month, they texted 61,457 times just to say, hey, what's up? Wow. But that's the thing about, being in contact with a loved one, so that you guys don't get phone calls from people saying, I don't know what's wrong with my son or daughter. I can't know, there's no contact. I haven't heard from them in 2 weeks. Well, now they have the opportunity to do that.
And I got, if I may, I was getting a lot of parents that were contacting me in previous years, but I haven't got a phone call or a text or email from anybody.
Right.
So, thank you.
Yeah.
I remember my question. You said you got your certification with 100%. How many of the other jails, what's the average, or?
The average is about 96%.
Okay.
And 100% it takes some work, and I think Captain Jansky.
On you and your management team.
Oh, Captain Jansky's been I'm glad he took the job when I offered it to him, because he's a godsend. Yeah. And he's the one who, even though I'm giving the direction, he's the one who put it all together and wrapped it up in a bow, and things I had to do, he was keeping me on track, and he was keeping the lieutenants on track, and he was making sure that our policy and procedures met the standard, and then it's like, here we are, it's go day, and it didn't take them but 2 hours. It was the cleanest 100%, and they congratulated us and sent us our letter, and we'll stand before the board on Waspic in May, and get our plaque. So,
Congratulations on job well done.
yeah.
And I
Appreciate
ask
it.
you, what was the percent of our last accreditation? Were we 100% then too?
So yeah, we were. I was a lieutenant then, and with Jansky, and yeah, we pulled off 100% then too.
Good.
Yeah, yeah.
So we haven't lost any ground, that's for
No,
sure.
you know, I was on the board. I was on the board of
Yes.
accreditation
I know.
back in 2011. So I was part of putting that together. So I knew exactly what we needed to do. I know that the sheriff had tried to get it done, and there was some unsuccessful things happening. And then, you know, I come from running the jail at Wapato, and he's like, I got good plans for you. And I'm like, oh yeah, I bet you do. And yeah, we got it done. And we did again in 2025, in February 25, we got it done again. You know, and then to go ahead and do it a third time is yeah, it is. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any
Okay.
further questions or comments or?
I don't want the chief's head to get too big, you know.
Yeah.
No,
I
I'll take a
concur.
pen and pop my head. That's okay.
It really has been a pleasure, and like I say, he's a direct report to me, so we'll have an opportunity to talk. And what you're seeing right now is what I get the privilege of seeing every week. There's no holes, there's no gaps. I appreciate it. Makes it easy.
Yes, you have a fully operational Death Star.
See what I mean?
Good
All
job,
right.
great job.
All
And
right,
thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. With that, we'll move to public comment. Is there anyone in the room for public comment?
So I really commend all that he has done. If you would, I was hoping to stay for this. My dad is a pastor, and he was a chaplain for fire department and police. And he developed a program for fatherhood for guys coming out of jail, and had businessmen mentor these men, because they usually are fathers already. And so, again, I'd be remiss in not mentioning that grant pilot program. It looks forward. It has ChatGPT to get the right language to get the grants. And it's made affordable on purpose. That was the mission of this company out of Oregon. And they could probably zoom in and give you a sample of how well that works. I'm very convinced that it does, especially for anticipating juvenile. But hearing some of the testimony before with the parents struggling and having kids in the system, there's got to be people that want to invest in our future generations at this level. And so I would encourage you to talk to your pastors, because when I was a civil service commissioner, first thing I did was do a ride-along with the sheriffs here and over in Benton County to compare completely different jail systems. But one of the things that Jerry Hatcher, for all the trouble that went on over there, he had a 35 to 45% recidivism rate drop because he had churches coming in like Celebration Recovery and programs like that they offered, and that I don't want to call them inmates, but the folks in the jail could take advantage of, and it really did cut down. But I really saw the difference that my dad made with businessmen and other pastors from the community in a fatherhood program and mentoring what fatherhood is. And I think it would have a big impact, and so I'd encourage you to look at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room for public comment that directs towards the jail update?
So I just wanted to say real quick, I was hoping Mr. Harmon would hear, but I want to thank him for bringing the tablets, and I appreciate what he said. It's easy to warehouse, but treat them like human beings. And thank you, Mr. Didier, for what you said about that too. I've worked with inmates, and you said not use inmates, but the residents of the exclusive gated communities. And, you know, I heard that term when I was in a maximum security prison in Florida. The director there called them the residents of her exclusive gated community, and I liked it. You know, so that's, you know, treat them like humans and get the tablets. I've worked with gentlemen, and that that means a lot. And to be able to communicate, I've gotten messages in the middle of the night from a gentleman that was struggling in the middle of the night, being in 24-hour confinement, but he had his tablet. He could send me a message, and we could communicate a little bit that way. It makes them feel like they're still humans, and that's very important. So I appreciate you and him working together to help these men. And like the last lady said, we need to give them something so there's not recidivism, and give them something to live for outside. And when they get back in the community, help them. And that was one thing. It didn't really have anything to do with Franklin County Jail, but it was the Department of Corrections. They shut down the Tri-Cities Work Release Center. And that was huge, in my opinion, to help these guys, give them an opportunity to work and get themselves back into the community. And I was talking to the CO there, and he was saying that a lot of those guys have been in for 25 years, 15, 20, 25 years. Your cell phone, think of how much different your cell phone is now than it was 25 years ago. When you are all of a sudden dumped into a society 25 years later, the change is overwhelming. There are guys that commit crimes to get back in because that's what they're comfortable with. When we give them the opportunity to, I was in a maximum security prison in Florida, and they had talent shows. And the band that they had there was amazing. And they were, give them something to live for in there. And I think even on a county level, I think we can do more with our resources to prepare them for life outside, so they don't have to keep coming back. So I appreciate what you're doing, and I was hoping he would hear some of that, but maybe he'll be told. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. Sorry. Is there any other business?
Not that I have.
With that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.